From the sunny University of Houston, it's senior day at the Carl Lewis Complex as UH Cougar Soccer takes on Tulsa in its conference opener. Everybody, welcome to our broadcast perch here at this awesome soccer facility. My name is Garrett Jones. She's Paige Lawrence. On behalf of all of our crew here today, Austin, Zach, and Michael making it work behind the scenes. Super pumped to have you with us for UH's conference opener. And Paige, we've seen UH in the non-conference play put up a ton of goals, 13 on the regular season. Conference play in the AAC has been a bit of a different story.
Right.
No goals pushed across, 2 allowed. What do you think has been the biggest difference as far as the scheduling goes for UH?
I believe this Houston team is definitely not foreign to the home field, as they've always performed very, very well here with the home field advantage. On the road, they've seemed to struggle a bit against their other competitors, so it's going to be interesting. You're going to be hosting an American Conference opponent here today, and Tulsa, they have also had some American play where they've not been successful yet as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams edge out against one another.
Absolutely. The head coaches for Houston, Diego Bocanegra, in his 4th season, previously an assistant with Notre Dame, 4 NCAA appearances there. Also worked with the Houston Dash locally in 2017. As for Tulsa, Kyle Cousin in his 13th season out of Southern Nazarene, 216 wins coming into 2021. Very impressive resume indeed. Elsewhere, Houston will start in goal. Salma Ghazal, Paige, we've seen a lot of her this season. 4 games started, a 2-1-1 record. She is a brick wall with a .47 goals allowed average.
Yeah, she's definitely played very, very well for this Houston Cougar team, and I think that's going to be where their bread and butter comes as far as the defensive end for your Cougars for today.
Absolutely. And on the other end, a very experienced netminder, Emma Malsey, all the way from Westminster, California, in net for Tulsa today, actually playing for her 3rd collegiate team, previously a stop at Arizona State. And Paige, she's definitely got experience on her side with 3,000 career minutes in net.
3,000, that's pretty steep there. But I was also just checking her out a bit from her performance against USF, who they played just last week. She had 6 saves against that team, and that team is actually top 20. So for her to have that type of statistic against a team of that high caliber, definitely going to be hard to get one across her today.
As for our players to watch, Emma Clark does a lot in the back end, only 1 point on the regular season, but she does a lot of things that stand out away from the box score.
Yes, Emma Clark, she's definitely is a key and essential player for that infield there. She's definitely navigates and kind of directs what goes on in that defensive end for the Cougars. So excited to see how she'll shift gears against the offensive end of Tulsa today.
And on for Tulsa's end, Gabriela Borboa, the leading point getter for this group, a goal on the regular season. And Paige, this is a group that struggled to push anything across the net this season. They're going to need a lot from her today.
Yeah, they're going to need all of their players today. Both teams are going to need both of their players today to be able to see who can come out on top today in this American matchup today in the field.
Houston looks for its first American Conference win. Let's run through the starters for you, starting with the hometown Cougars. Salma Ghazal is in net. Emma Clark's out there all the way from Christchurch, New Zealand at defense. Amy Wynn on her senior day is out there at forward. Maddie Gear makes start number 3 on the regular season. Jasmine Grant, preseason All-American Conference, is in at the forward spot as well. Janae Sanders is out there at defense. Mia Brasha, another senior by eligibility with 2 goals on the regular season, lines up for the starters as well. Adriana Hudson, a really good freshman spark for Bocanegra, is in there as well at the midfielder spot. Reed Morrison, the junior, all the way from Dana Hills, California, is in at the midfield spot as well. Cassidy Furmanek, all the way from Denver, wraps up Houston's defensive pairing, and Ziana Brown, who, Paige, we've seen all gas, no brakes play style from her, especially in the Cougars' last home win over Rice. 2 goals on the regular season for her. She really makes this team go.
I really love the energy that Brown brings to this team. She's aggressive. She hustles. She is everywhere on the field, and I'm guessing we will see a lot of that today from her, as she's definitely flexible as far as competition goes for the Cougars.
Here's Tulsa's starting lineup. They start with Emily Brandenburg, a junior on defense. Goal for her on the regular season. Out there with Emily Torres, Liliana Fernandez, Kayla Fernandez, Grayson Schimmels, Emma Malzi is in net once again. Madison Chokarchik is out there, a Tulsa native freshman in there at defense. Avery Dubach is out there, the senior defensive anchor for Tulsa, along with Mia Darden at the forward spot, Jada Holmes at the defense, and Jordan Martinez, a midfielder from Dallas. Page in that starting lineup, obviously a group that's struggling for any kind of goal force power.
Yeah.
But they are really good on the back end, and they've shown it in several American Conference games. This is a group that topped UCF, a team that was high in the preseason polls. They beat them 3-2. Unfortunately, all three of those goals forced for Tulsa on the season came in that one contest.
Yeah, this team has been struggling a bit with the American competition, but so as our Cougars as well, as they've been challenged a bit on the road there. So both of these teams have some similar backgrounds, but I'm excited to see what this competition leads today.
We'll break for the playing of the national anthem. Be back with you shortly for kickoff. It's a Sunday matinee matchup in the American Conference as Houston hosts Tulsa, looking for win number 1 in the American. Garrett Jones and Paige Lawrence welcoming you back here pitch side. Should be a really entertaining matchup today. UH is a team that loves to score and score often. We saw them put together 8 goals not too long ago in a win over Texas Southern in February. Since then, it's been a bit more of a drought. A non-conference win over Rice last week, and then another tough matchup on the road at Memphis in a 1-0 defeat.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit different here today as well because we have fans in the stand today.
Yeah, great point.
25% capacity here at your Carl Lewis complex. And with it being senior day, I think that is going to bring a different energy here for the Houston Cougars if they have their families here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Several seniors honored for Houston in a pregame ceremony. Amy Wynn, along with Kalia Callahan, Jasmine Grant and Mia Brasha are both seniors by eligibility, but they were honored way back in 2019.
Wow.
Feels like several years ago. It really has been between play for these clubs, but also Reed Morrison honored along with Kate Godfrey, who we've seen at certain points for UH in net this year. A really strong group and a backbone of this Houston team because all 4 of those players are in the starting lineup today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these seniors play today. You know, senior night, families here, definitely bringing the different vibe, different energy.
Right.
You want to play well. You're in the starting position, so I definitely expect to see a lot more hustle from this squad today.
All right. Houston comes out with a 3-2-1 clip in the American. Tulsa at just 1-3-0. Interestingly, Paige, Houston has made its money in the non-conference. They picked up all 3 wins in 2021 against out-of-conference foes. Tulsa, on the other hand, decided not to play non-conference teams in the regular season. So a bit of a contrast in styles when it comes to a preseason approach.
Yeah, and me personally, I think getting that non-conference play in is definitely important just to work out some kinks, work out some things that you may or not be accustomed to outside of your conference, because if you think about it, when it comes to your national play, you're going to have to play some teams that are not in your conference. So definitely want to see what those teams are looking like outside of your conference, because you're going to have that conference play either way it goes. So I definitely can see why the Houston Cougars chose to have that non-conference play. But maybe just some strategies there from both coaches for the teams there.
Ziana Brown set to take the draw for Houston from the midfield, just about ready for some soccer on a wonderful afternoon. Paige, when we started back in February, it was a chilly night when Houston opened up its season against Houston Baptist way back in early February. Another chilly contest against Texas Southern. Last time against Rice, the weather was so-so, but today we could not ask for anything better. Pushing 70 degrees, a couple of clouds in the sky, mostly sunshine as we get going.
And also, there's a slight wind, but not too much. So I definitely could see it being an advantage and not so much as a disadvantage for either team here today. As
both players from both teams take a knee in solidarity to get things going. We've seen Houston do that several times this year in a movement to advance racial justice. Now we're underway. Houston starts things retreating back into its defending third. This is not unusual for this group. They like to play it from the back end to the front end.
Yeah, kind of make their way to the front. There was Clark there trying to set something up there. As we talked about her being an essential moving piece of the defensive end for your Houston Cougars.
Great to see Amy Wynn back out there as well. You were with us last week against Rice. She took a pretty nasty fall. Rice is an aggressive team, likes to really push to the front end, and unfortunately, Amy Wynn just got sandwiched between the turf and our Rice attacker. Fortunately, she's cleared, and after missing a game, back in the starting lineup today. Struggling to get it in. Houston forces 2.6 goals per game. They give up just 0.4, and those scoring margins have Houston at the top of the country. But the record just hasn't quite caught up because of the difficulty of the American Conference schedule.
Yeah, the American Conference schedule is not easy at all. You know, this Tulsa team is actually coming off a game against USF where they fell short to them 3 goals there. So interesting to see how they even recuperate from that loss today on the road once again here at the Carl Lewis Complex.
Houston hums it into its attacking third. A set up an opportunity for Matthews, who dekes back. She's really good with the feet and sends it in for the first pickup for Emma Malsey. Goalkeeper averaging at 2.74 goals allowed per game, a 70% clip, especially when you compare those numbers to Houston's Salma Ghazal page. Just not a pretty picture for her in net this year. Tulsa gets a push. Wynn with the takedown along the boundary.
Wynn showing a little aggressiveness there.
The senior out of Houston Memorial honored pregame. Headed in by Jasmine Grant. And all the way to the far boundary. And you love to see that for Amy Wynn, who again is a Houston product, has been a part of this program for 5 years now. Despite getting injured in the last home contest, she's not afraid to throw her body around and get aggressive.
Right, because you are right. We did not see her return back to the contest after that fall there.
Here's a chance in front, a deke back, and a nice save by Gazelle, but the follow goes. Dicey situation in front, and it's banged home as Tulsa takes a rare 1-0 lead. I'm struggling to get a number there. There was a lot of players in deep.
Yeah, we did see Wynn there kind of try to block it out, and when she sent it out, it kind of got to that forward there that was awaiting the ball there.
We'll have to wait for the official score, but it did look like it was Mia Darden who got the last touch. And shockingly, Houston goes down 1-0 in the first 2 minutes of this game. This group has never trailed at home in 2021.
So that's going to be a bit different here for your Cougars. Now trying to reset and realign, kind of get back on focus here.
That's only the 4th goal allowed of the season by the Cougar defense. 3 of those have come in American Conference play. Caitlin Matthews trying to get it back, works it all the way to the near corner. Punched outside, and more aggressiveness from Emily Torres, who was right down there at the goal mouth as well, and a big part of that Mia Darden goal.
Yeah, it seemed to be a bit of confusion there on that last goal after the deflection from Amy Wynn there. So I think that was a communication error as well there for the Cougars on that last goal.
They do credit the goal to Mia Darden. That's her first of the season. However, she's pushed across 3 shots on goal prior coming into the contest, so somebody definitely keep an eye on moving forward, but that's got to feel good for her to finally break the seal.
First corner kick of the game here.
That's huge for Houston because they have established themselves as a group that likes to work from the corners. This is attempt number 28 from this spot this year. Curled in by Matthews in front, a chance at a header, just couldn't execute. And Tulsa will get a throw in after Houston's best look at the net so far in this match. Just underway from the Carl Lewis Complex in Houston, Texas. Good to have you with us for a Sunday matinee. Turned around at the midfield. Darden again getting her nose dirty, doing a lot of the heavy lifting for Tulsa so far.
Yeah, Darden definitely making her presence being felt there on that end of the field and giving the Cougars a bit trouble on the end. So I definitely can see a tighter defense on that side of the field.
Emma Clark sets things back up from the defense, all the way from Christchurch, New Zealand. One of 2 New Zealanders on this Houston squad, along with Emily Bray. Toss in for Matthews in the midfield. Here comes Mia Brasha, tied for the Houston lead with 2 goals on the regular season. Wynn sets things up now, trying to win a race along the boundary. And get a foul on this play. Houston, a very disciplined team. Not many fouls committed in 2021. Tulsa, on the other hand, over the 45 foul mark in just 4 games.
Wow, so that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out today with the H-Town hustle that this Houston Cougar team presents. And then you have a very aggressive team from Tulsa as well. So I'm curious to see how that's going to play out today. It's been pretty clean thus far, though.
Fight at the midfield for Brasha, taken away by Torres. And a whistle comes here after the physicality. Brown and Torres collide near the midfield marker.
Yeah, I think they both tried to do a slide tackle there for the ball, but came out for a foul there. It's interesting. We just spoke of how clean the game has been thus far, and now look what we have here.
And that's no surprise for Ziana Brown. We mentioned in last week's win over Rice, she separated herself with physicality, actually set up a goal on the rush, as Clark will set in a free kick here for Houston. A little bit of pressure from the midfield stripe from Kayla Fernandez. Right boot sent in deep. Chance at a header, tilted toward the goal, a dicey opportunity, and Malsey comes up with it for Tulsa. Amy Wynn with the turnaround.
Ooh, nice pass there by Wynn.
Again swept away by Tulsa. This group comes in at just 1-3 in the season. Paige, they're not playing like it in the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, this team is not really playing as meshed as they normally do. Maybe some communication errors. I'm not really hearing a lot of communication from the Cougars end, more so from the Tulsa end. So maybe Tulsa kind of studied the Cougars and understood what it would take to play well against this team.
Freshman Tokarczyk sends it in, but we get a foul on the play, and Mia Brasha wants to work quickly. Sends in a free kick here back to Emma Clark. Moves 7th minute now. Mia Darden's goal in the 2nd minute breaks the seal for Tulsa, and Houston already has to dig out of a hole. Wynn wanted to break free. She gets it back for Caitlin Matthews. A touch now for Brasha. It's Madison Gear who sends it back to Clark. We just see this so much. Houston loves to set up its offense with Emma Clark starting things off with a touch.
Yeah, she's able to kind of navigate the Cougars, kind of give them a break and trying to realign themselves as far as formation goes on the field. So grateful for her in that position.
Matthews with a lot of space.
Oh, the hesitation there kind of.
Grant with a great look. She reversed her footing, just not quite enough on that one. And Malsey able to grab it for Tulsa.
Yeah, I believe if she was able to kind of get her balance there, the coordination to the ball, she would have definitely been able to put a little bit more power behind that attempt there. But that's the first shot of the game there for the Cougars.
It wasn't the best angle either. Grant kind of had to back up and adjust to send that in with her right foot. Houston picks it up, and it's defending third. Cougars have forced 13 goals on the regular season, allowed just 4. It's just been amazing to see the disparity and the feast or famine nature of Cougar soccer matches in 2021. 8 goals against Texas Southern in a home win, 3 against Houston Baptist, 2 more against Rice last week. Losses in the American to Memphis and ECU. Both those were 1-0 draws. The group tied UTSA a couple weeks ago. Another good look for Tulsa, broken up nicely by Clark. Here's some freedom for Kayla Fernandez, who sends it in. Gazal gets a tip. Tried to go up and grab that one with both hands, but luckily for Houston, it broke off to the left after going off the goalkeeper's paws.
Yeah, plays like that definitely kind of sketchy there for Gazal there. So hopefully she's able to kind of realign herself, get the team back together as one. You know, another corner kick here, but from Tulsa this time.
Tulsa's first of the match. Houston's already tallied 1. It's Madison Tokarczyk to take it for the visitors. She sends this in with the left foot, broken up nicely by Fermanek on the defensive end. Not quite done yet if you're Houston. Work to do to clear it. Here comes Darden with another touch. She scored the first goal in this match. Footed back up, chance in front, and it's broken up by Gazal. And you see the animation from the Tulsa forwards. That was a great scoring chance, broken up by Houston's staunch goalkeeper from Sugar Land.
So 4 shots so far from Tulsa, 1 from the Cougars. We're definitely seeing that number being played out today currently. And Tulsa's still leading 1-0 over the Cougars.
Whistle after a takedown at the midfield. This will be a free kick coming for Tulsa. And a rare Houston foul in the early minutes. This group, we've seen them all year long play extremely disciplined soccer.
Mm-hmm. It seems every time we raise that point, it's almost a foul on the play every time.
Liliana Fernandez sends this one in. Broken up in front. Poked away, and Gazal has to catch up with it out of the goalkeeper box. And settles things down with her big left foot. And what do you know? Offense running through Emma Clark once again.
Yeah, I really like having Emma Clark and Amy Wynn there in that position. I think they work very well in that right side of the field.
Ziana Brown with a burst of steam. How many times have we seen this year? She sends it in front, and it's cleared by Fernandez with the right foot. A little extra work to do to get it out as Tulsa finally able to send it back toward the Houston end. Wynn keeps it in play. Looking for Hudson, but that one rolls out of bounds in the near sideline. But Ziana Brown just seems to have that extra gear when she gets around a defender to turn on the nitrous and head toward the goalposts.
It literally takes her one move and she's gone. And we've seen it work numerous times with the duo between her and Grant. Even that last goal at Rice, I can vividly remember that goal there.
1 shot for Houston, 4 for Tulsa. All the way back into the Houston defending third. Fermanek gets a touch now. Trying to shake off Darden, the goal scorer in the second minute.
Yeah, Darden kind of plays a little bit far back when it comes to her defensive skills there.
Ziana Brown puts on the moves and sets up Hudson. This could be something for Houston. Adriana in deep, bad angle. And Houston slam dunk. How about that for Jasmine Grant? Hudson made the play, and Grant lowers the boom.
Yeah, Gary, I definitely think you saw it before anyone there as you spoke about how she's trying to set that up, but sending it right over, Grant being in the right position there, a goal for your Houston Cougars.
And that's got to feel good for Grant. That's tally number 3 on the season. And after Houston a bit surprisingly goes down in the first 2 minutes, the Cougars able to respond just 10 minutes later. And, of course, we'll wait for an official score to confirm the goal. But you give Adriana Hudson the credit. She'll get the apple there, setting up the assist on the play of the day so far. Sent all the way back. Fernandez gives this one a ride. Grant has just had a prolific Houston career. That would be goal number 3 for her season.
She's always there when you need her, and there we see another goal. We spoke about Brown and Grant's goal, but I don't know. That one was just as impressive.
Man, just thinking back on that, she came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
She saw Hudson get a little bit of a break, slipped in behind the defense, and went straight for the goal. Next thing you know, she is pounding it right into the back of the net. You know, it won't take from where she was about 8 feet out. It wouldn't take a lot to slam it in the goal.
Right.
But she gave that thing a ride.
Yeah.
Just really strong with the right foot, and wanted to send it back towards Schrader Park here on the edge of Elgin Street on the University of Houston campus. But indeed, that was that had to be a scary situation from Malsey facing the incredible right foot of Jasmine Grant.
I was going to bring up that too. You know, her sending the ball across kind of confused Malsey a bit there.
Yeah.
And Grant was just so happily there with the defender ready to attack.
Houston with the burst of speed. They've got it back into the Tulsa zone as the sun peeks out on the campus of the University of Houston. Just a great day for a match. Weather hanging out around 70 degrees and sunny on the second day of spring in 2021. This has been unusual seeing soccer this time of year. Normally, the schedule lets these groups play out in the fall along with football and several other key revenue sports for the NCAA. But there's another chance for Brown, just broken up. It's a whistle to break it up. Looks like Houston was offside.
Yeah, offsides there. Just a smidge there. I kind of witnessed it itself when I saw the ball kind of cross the plane there. So offsides there. You got to be careful for those because that was a great opportunity there for Brown as her speed would have been able to get her to that ball first.
It's a free kick coming from Malsey, but get back to what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. Houston went 458 days between matches from its last conference tournament game in 2019 against UCF to its home opener in 2021 against Houston Baptist. A full calendar year passed due to COVID-19, and after initially looking like the American Conference wanted to move forward with soccer in the summer and get things going in its traditional August and September schedule, the conference eventually decided to backtrack and postpone many sports to the spring, soccer included. And despite the fact that it's been almost 2 whole years between playing, these players are certainly appreciative of the opportunity to showcase their skills in the months of February, March, and April.
Yeah, I think any time that these players are able to present any play in any contest, they're more than excited. You know, this is what they signed up to do, and I just think that time period was good in some cases because a lot of these athletes were having injuries that they were consistently dealing with. So that break may have been beneficial for both this team. Like we talked about Ziana Brown, she had that calf injury. Now we're not even seeing signs of a injury from her as well as she's played against all of our competitors on this home field at least.
Great catches. Another foul breaks things up. Yeah, Brown got a touch there for Houston just a few moments ago. Transfer from Baylor. Actually had a dicey calf injury going into last year, but you mentioned she got to rehab it. Several other Houston players, like Kalia Callahan, for example, didn't play last year in 2019, but got a chance to come back and it made a big impact on the Houston lineup this year. Brown gives that one a ride, but it waves off to the right side of the goal mount. And Houston will set up again, having tied this game in the 12th minute after Tulsa got the opener. In the second, from Mia Darden, Jasmine Grant officially scored as Houston's first tally.
You know, one difference I am noticing from the play today for the Cougars is we're playing all over, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. Normally, from our home advantages for our prior opponents like Rice and Texas Southern and HBU, we've played more so on the offensive side for the Cougars, but now we're seeing a lot of back and forthness happen here. So this game is going to cause a lot of endurance to come into play as well.
Absolutely. As that Matthews corner kick sails at the top of the goal, and Paige, you mentioned in the open, the wind blowing from left to right as you see the action from Carl Lewis Complex. Certainly will have an effect for Houston sending corner kicks on this end of the pitch in the first half. Malsey gives this one a ride. Not quite the right leg that Gazal has. In case you get to see her send in a goal kick, it's a thing to see. She's got a really strong leg on the other end. Sent in here by Furmanek, but broken up nicely by Tulsa on the back end. That leads to the third Coug corner kick of the day. And the dangerous Mia Brasha set to take the draw for Houston on the far end of the pitch. Brasha with 2 goals on the regular season, an assist for a team-high 5 points. Sent in with her right foot, broken up, and scored by Ziana Brown.
I love to just see the excitement there from Brown, and she was kind of shocked at what happened, but another goal there for your Cougars.
Another one for Houston. This one comes in the 19th minute, and it's Houston 2, Tulsa 1 on Ziana Brown's third goal of 2021. And it looked like Jasmine Grant got a touch there on the near the post on the left side of the goal front. It eventually worked its way to Brown, and the ball slowed down almost to a stop to the point where Tulsa was able to get a foot on it and break it up. Either way, Brown there to tap it in. It doesn't need to go all the way to the back of the net like Grant's did. It just needs to roll past that white line.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw there. So Houston takes a 2-1 lead.
And that was Mia Brashaw on that last corner kick there. You spoke about how dangerous it is to have her present those corner kicks for the Cougars, and that was a prime example of the reason why that is not the ideal situation for any other opponent.
Another good chance in front. Maddie Gear, the foul for Permanik, and this one finds the net. Houston is going off with 3 goals in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, this Houston team is on fire, using the energy from each prior goal to just bring about on the defensive end here for your Houston Cougars.
The goal there scored by Furmanek. How about that, Paige? Comes into the game with no points on 2021, and with a wide open attempt, she rails past her first goal of the season. They do score to Mia Brasha indeed. Okay. So there you go. So Houston's top goal scorers scored the first 3.
Wow.
It's Grant getting the first, Brown getting the second, and then just seconds later, Mia Brasha adding her third tally of 2021. Yeah, it looked like it was Furmanek who ran in from the defensive end, but that makes sense that Brasha is such a versatile player from the forward and midfield spot, came up and made the clean read.
So it looks like a bit confusion going on here. Not sure what the debate is here, delaying the game currently.
It looks like we might be getting some substitutions from the Tulsa end. And that would make sense because after taking an early lead, things have just unraveled for Tulsa. Houston has scored 3 goals in a matter of 7 full minutes.
Yeah, and it also looks like they're kind of issuing over the last play there. I'm seeing the coach there kind of navigating what happened here in the back end. So something occurred here that we did not catch on our end, causing a little bit confusion here from our officials.
Head coach Diego Bocanegra getting a word in, but it is a good goal. Houston gets things going again, now leading 3-1.
So now I'm thinking this Tulsa team is a little bit angry and ready for revenge. So I'm curious to see how they will respond against those last 2 goals, as they both came about very quickly.
Tally number 3 on the year for Mia Brasha. Very interestingly, Jasmine Grant came in with a couple goals in the regular season. So did Ziana Brown. And Houston's top goal scorers all get to the 3-goal clip in the first 20 minutes of this game. Another whistle as we'll get a throw in. Grant will trigger for Houston. Roll all the way back. And broken up by Tulsa defensively, but a takedown of Mia Darden. The goal scorer in the 2nd minute for Tulsa. If you walked away after that point, you'd be shocked to return to what we've got going on now.
Yeah, this game has definitely turned around energy-wise for this Houston Cougars team. This is the team that we've seen play on this home field time after time before. So not sure why they kind of started off rocky, but my almost guess is that's kind of how they started out on their road games as well.
Right. The complexion of this contest has completely changed. Houston has been such a dominant force at home this year. 3-0-0 and 3 non-conference matchups. This is the first conference game at the Lewis International Complex. Another chip shot for Grant, and the right foot sends this one out of bounds once more. Kyle Cusson, the winningest head coach in Tulsa women's soccer history, 216 career victories. A player himself at Southern Nazarene, trying to get the most that he can out of Tulsa. He'll take a spirited effort, down 3-1 in the first half. And we mentioned it earlier, but all 3 of Tulsa's goals in 2021 have come in one contest. That was a surprise win over UCF back in February.
This Tulsa team does not look bad, though, at all.
Right.
They definitely have something to give. If we saw them kind of start off the game pretty strong here over the Cougars with that first goal, and their energy was just a little bit different. But now the energy has definitely shifted to the Cougars' favor here.
And interestingly for both groups, we have yet to see a substitution in the match today. Both teams rolling with their starting lineups. Houston getting a lot out of its. Worn nicely on the attack by Avery Dubach. And settled down in the midfield. Tulsa gets a rare chance so far in this game, and it's attacking third. However, the one really good scoring chance that it got, it converted on. Darden scoring off the confusion in front. But since then, it's been all Houston. Emma Clark gets a push, broken up nicely by Tokarczyk. And back out to Hudson. Here comes Brasha, a rocket over the top of the goalpost. Wanted goal number 2, just too much on that draw.
Yeah, I think she was a little bit too fast there, unable to kind of navigate the ball there. But still, the shots attempts up to 5 now for the Cougars. We were talking about they only had 1 before those prior 2 goals. And now, as the shots increase, the goals have increased for the Cougar team.
Ramped down back to the Tulsa defense where Liliana Fernandez hooks it in. And broken up out of play once more. Yeah, if you're a goalkeeper, Paige, like Emma Malsey in that situation, it has to be scary when you see somebody like Mia Brasha coming in strong with a lot of room. Brasha has already tallied 3 goals in the regular season, also added 1 in the exhibition against Rice. The goal in the 19th minute for Brasha, her 8th on her storied Houston career. Jasmine Grant added number 18 earlier. Another chance for Houston senior from Atascocita. There's Brown in the near corner. Grant waiting in front. Rolled in, and a nice diving save by Emma Malsey to break things up.
We had a slight collision there. Maybe even knocked some wind out of one another there on that prior play before that shot attempt.
Brasha is slow to get going for Houston.
And I believe that's Grayson Schimmels there of Tulsa. They're trying to catch her wind back there. I know how that feels, kind of run into each other on the chest there and lose your breath for quite some time there, but they look kind of recuperated. No subs needed.
Right, we're back in playing after a brief stoppage. Now moving into the 23rd minute from the Carl. Houston with the midfield touch. Wanted Brasha, broken up, and a takedown at midfield. Dubach lowered the boom, and Brasha is slow to get up.
Yeah, kind of getting tangled up there, but that was a powerful kick attempt there from Tulsa there.
And we've seen some physicality in this game for sure. Free kick comes for Houston. It's already tallied at 3 corners on the afternoon.
Sending it over to Wynn to shift the field play here.
Back to Hudson. One-on-one with the freshman Tokarczyk. Reels this one in behind the defense. Grant with a tough angle. Throws it in front, but she was out of bounds. And the officials disappointing the Houston Brass here taking in this game. Alyssa Nichols is our referee. Ethan Free is the assistant. George Kubov and Kyle Phillips are the two other assistants. Another goal kick coming from Halsey. Settles on this setup and gives it a ride. Maddie Gear, the sophomore from Rockwall Heath High School, fights to keep it in. Gear sets things up again. One in Grant, but broken up nicely by Liliana Fernandez on the Tulsa back end.
Ooh.
Big collision and a takedown near the sideline. Ziana Brown showing her physicality after that tie-up with Emily Brandenburg.
Yeah, Brown there, she's definitely an aggressive player and will not back down from any competitor, no matter who that may be there. But Tulsa will get the kick here.
Yeah, if you love physical soccer, Ziana Brown has to be your favorite player.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm definitely a fan of the way she plays, because she plays with such aggressiveness, and I just think that adds so much to her play here for the Cougars.
Tulsa gets a great look. Kayla Fernandez tied up.
But Brasha's stealing it away there.
Boy, just another day at the office for Mia Brasha. A goal scored already. Another great look at the net, and already been taken down after a tie-up. She also, like Brown, plays a very physical style of play. As Fermanic will take the free kick for Houston.
We see the official kind of give a warning there to Jordan Martinez, number 29 of Tulsa, there about that prior foul. So hopefully we can keep a clean game here today at the Carl Lewis Complex.
Hudson overran that ball, turned around by Emily Torres and sent in by Tokarczyk. The chip shot settled down. The follow from Holmes broken up. Amy Wynn just wanted it more.
Nice block there from Wynn.
Kayla Fernandez gives this one in, and here's Darden, who was clear but well offside. The goal scorer in the second minute. A little too eager on that rush.
Yeah, but her eagerness almost kind of scares me for the Cougars, because imagine if she was onside there. She was in perfect position there to give a great shot effort against Gaza there.
Fermanic taps it up for Brasha. Now sent in and broken up in the midfield by Houston. Clark able to retreat. Wynn finds Adriana Hudson, an assist today. That one just out of the reach of Jasmine Grant, the second goal scorer of the contest for Houston this afternoon. And how about this? We finally see group substitutions for Houston. Kayla Izaguirre is in, along with Madison DiChiara and Natalie Anderson wrapping up the group. Anderson gives you a lot of scoring punch off the bench. 2 goals so far for her in 2021. Grant tries to separate. Cleared nicely by Tulsa. And Houston has to go all the way back toward its logo at the midfield to pick it up. Fermanic with a touch.
That's Sanders there.
She's been quiet today. First time we've said her name. Fernandez leaves it up. Wanted darted. Running step for step. The crossing pass pulled away by Salma Ghazal. Been a relatively quiet day for Salma Ghazal in net for Houston, but she certainly prefers it that way.
Yeah, I definitely think she wants it to be more quiet on her end. And as we've seen after that first goal, not much contestant for your Tulsa team.
Yeah, if you're Salma Ghazal in net for Houston, you have to see, okay, I've got a home match coming up. I know that Houston offensively is going to be forcing a lot on the other end, so I'm not saying it's a night off for the netminder by any means, but it's just such a dichotomy between what Houston's done at home and on the road. The Cougars at 3-0-0 here at Carl Lewis and 0-2-1 away from home this year.
So letting it go to Mallsy here, giving her some ball play.
Sun now shining brightly on the pitch. One of just a few daytime contests that Houston has played this year. The first matinee home matchup of 2021. Win into Tulsa territory.
Sending it to Grant here.
Hook and ladder with Jasmine. Grant not on the same page. A rare miscue between those two seniors. Grant, the senior from Atascocita, decided to come back with an extra year of COVID eligibility. In case you don't know, the NCAA granted all athletes, including seniors from last year, a opportunity to come back and play one more year collegiately in 2020.
Was Izaguirre getting a touch there?
Goals for Houston in the 12 minutes, starting with Jasmine Grant. Ziana Brown added the second one, and then
Alani's coming in for win there.
Brasha added the third one. As Alani's, again, Paige, one of those players that we talk about for Houston. She's a freshman all the way from McAllen High School down in the South Texas Rio Grande Valley area. But, again, just a single point for her in 2021. But it's, you go back to that home opener especially, she does a lot of things that stand out away from the box score. Physical play takes down a Coug near the midfield stripe. As Furmanek is still slow to get up. We don't have a whistle. Finally, we get a stoppage in play. Izaguirre retaliated with a shoulder after Furmanek is slow to get up. Still struggling. Finally, at her own feet, under her own power. Good to see for the junior by eligibility defenseman from Denver, Colorado. She'll stay in the match, it appears.
There.
One of 4 Cougars honored ahead of time. And here on Senior Day, Godfrey, Kalea Callahan, Amy Wynn, and Reed Morrison getting the decorations today. But they're a junior for Manic, roughed up a little bit. Another good look for Tulsa. They settle it down in front. Houston swarms defensively and is able to clear that one away. Paige, that was just an avalanche of white tops swarming the soccer ball there.
Definitely don't want to repeat there of their first goal, which is why we're kind of seeing the Cougars kind of come up a bit on the defensive end and make sure that they're ready for if the ball comes their way.
Brasha sends this one toward the midfield.
It's Grant there. Coach Bocanegra there asking for the ref for a foul call.
And you could hear that from the opposite sideline as Houston's fiery fourth-year man always pleading the case of his unit. Sent in deep to Karchik. Back for Emma Clark. Furmanek's feeling all right.
Right.
A lot of green grass for her.
Sanders, they're trying to navigate the ball there. Ooh, nice.
Broken up at the midfield. Tulsa able to keep it in. And Paige, we've seen, not quite enough for Tulsa to get all the way to its attacking third and get near the Houston net. But in the past 15 minutes or so, especially since Houston had that goal-scoring onslaught, they've had a few more minutes of possession.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this team, you're seeing them communicate more. They're passing the ball. They're moving the field here. And Tulsa's trying to get adjusted to the ball movement that we're seeing here from your Cougars.
One it is Izaguirre in front. Hudson sets things up but has it intercepted. A nice clear from Grayson Schimmels, who was also shaken up earlier. Here comes Fernandez. Leaves it back in a rocket here on the cross. Broken up in front of the Houston bench, and it goes well out of play. Houston's not afraid to throw the body around without question, but they've also shown in separate occasions in 2021 that they're not afraid to step in front of rocket passes like that and break them up and give the team an opportunity to reset defensively.
I think that's thanks to that H-Town hustle that this team promotes themselves for, that aggression that we see from players like Brown. They just all feed into the theme of the culture of this team that they're trying to build.
DiChiara with the tap back to Emma Clark. Ava Alani's rocks across the midfield, and Tokarczyk again, the freshman, making her name known in this game. Brasha gets it back with a nice move. Sent over to Grant, but Tulsa read that one like a book defensively.
He's probably fucking it up because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a coach guy from ESPN who's probably handling.
Back to Fernandez. Up to Tokarczyk, getting involved heavily from the defensive end. She sees it stolen away from Alani's. And now Torres rallies it back for Tulsa. Goal in the second minute for the visitors today, and Houston has basically stolen the show since that point.
Yeah, this Houston team started off slow but picked up the speed fast. Here we see them go up 2 goals over your Tulsa Hurricanes here.
Furmanek lets that one slip behind her, but wouldn't you know it, it's Emma Clark in the right place at the right time who just shovels this one out of bounds as Houston will set up again.
Yes, Emma Clark definitely plays that position very well, whether you need it on the right or the left side. She's going to be there no matter what the case may be.
Moving toward the 36th minute and the final 10 minutes of this first half. That's been very friendly for Houston.
That's Callahan checking into the game there for your Cougars.
On her senior day. Along with Maddie Bowers. A clash of classes as the freshman from Lake Jackson finds her way into the game. Shimbles with the touch. Up at the midfield, Tulsa looking to push.
Callahan making her presence being felt very quickly as she comes into the game there.
Yeah, stop us if you've heard this before, but Callahan absolutely in that group of high-energy players. Loves to push around offensively. 2 goals on the regular season for her for 4 points.
Yes, and actually her first goal was against that Texas Southern team here on the home field. So she's ready. And I definitely think I love to watch her play because she's not afraid to go after the ball no matter where it may be. And she also has a bit of that aggressiveness that we see from Brown quite a bit here for your Cougars.
Furmanek able to retrieve. Here's Clark setting things up again, but a great push from Darden. Rallies it for Tulsa, trying to steal a possession here. Swing over for Fernandez. Back over to Emily Torres. And a foul away from the play. We'll break things up. That was interesting for Tulsa, not letting up on the defensive end.
And if you take a notice, Darden plays on the opposite end of the field there. So she's coming across to try to make something happen. Your team is down 2 goals here. Definitely can see her being a game changer in this game for the Tulsa team.
Clark gives that one a ride. Here's DiChiara up for Callahan. With a step on the defense, she chips this one in, and it's played sloppily by Malsey, able to rally that one against her thighs. A dangerous chance for Tulsa.
Yeah, Anderson was definitely going to be there for the Cougars to pick up if that ball did drop there from Malsey.
Malsey, the transfer from Arizona State. Previously played at Kansas State as well. We talked about this earlier. 3,000 minutes for her in net. 156 saves and 11 shutouts in 6 years of collegiate soccer. Sub for Houston. We get another movement as Reed Morrison on her senior day breaks into the match. Junior out of eligibility, at least, by Dana Hills, California, where she went to high school there. Sent in by Furmanek. Looking for Bowers, who just checked in. Back over to Brandenburg. And, something interesting we also talked about a few minutes ago was the fact that Houston waited so long to get his first subs in the game.
Yeah.
Interestingly, when we've seen all 4 goals in this match, the starters have been on the pitch for both schools.
But we also talked about earlier this season about the depth of the bench here that the Cougars have. The subs that they can make definitely are still beneficial for the Cougars. We saw some players even come straight off the bench and give a goal for the Houston Cougars squad.
Izagirre keeps this one alive, but the assistant official blows it dead, and Tulsa will get a toss in. Trailing 3-1 for Houston, a goal-scoring blitzkrieg in the 12th minute of action.
And if you take notice again, we're seeing Darden play more on this side here for Tulsa here. So interesting dynamic going on for her.
Goals also coming for Houston in the 19th minute as a whistle here as Darden gets aggressive and will set up a free kick for Tulsa. Kayla Fernandez with her sister Liliana out there on the pitch as well. Both hail from Niceville, Florida. Looking for her sibling and sends that one touched by Gasol. Nicely done with the right foot. 5 minutes from the half, but a work to do for Houston on the defensive end.
Oh.
Here's another chance in front, and Gasol steps up and makes a nice save.
Yeah, that was Naya Egwe there for Tulsa. They're sending it across with a strong boot there. A little too much power behind her. I think with the little navigation of that power there, she would have been able to get it kind of right in front of the goal there.
All the way back it goes for Jada Holmes, who sets things back up with Malsey. Malsey sends it in. Brasha applies the pressure. Movement from Dubach on the footwork. Ball finds Houston in the midfield. Romanek sends in with 3.5 to play before the break. Collision at midfield, and Tulsa comes up with it. More physicality from this very strong group. Janae Sanders running step for step. This one sails out of bounds, and we'll get a throw in. Houston trying to win its 4th game and as many tries here from the Carl Lewis complex.
Also just trying to defend this home turf. They've been undefeated so far here at the Carl Lewis complex. So definitely playing very well right now, still leading 3-1 over your Tulsa Hurricanes.
Natalie Anderson gets a rare touch so far in this game. Reed Morrison sets it back up for Emma Clark. This is where Houston likes to run its offense, but broken up by Tokarczyk as she records a header. Here comes Dubach, sent in, and broken up nicely by Houston's Sanders on the defensive end.
Sanders playing very well here. Although we haven't mentioned her much, but she's definitely being key in resisting that ball crossing that plane there.
Here's a sprint in. Bowers loose. Fighting for the angle with the crossover move. With the left foot in front. Fight at the goal mouth. Here's a chance blocked by the beautiful left foot of Emma Malsey. Beautiful save there for Tulsa's goalkeeper.
Maddie Bowers there bringing out the moves.
Yeah, she did.
For the Cougar team. Whew. That was a nice possession there.
That was a crossover move if there ever was one. Sent her defender down to the pitch. I believe that was Avery Dubach running step for step as Houston gets another sub right before the break as Addie Tate gets in for the final 2 minutes of action. We'll break and gather our thoughts, run some numbers for you, and then we'll be back with the halftime report in this 3-1 contest. Tap up for Tulsa, looking for a push. Broken up by Callahan. Houston looking for one final opportunity moving left to right. I'm sure they'll be sad to see the field flip when we get back from the break. Goal scoring production on this end for sure for UH. 44th minute, last one before the halftime intermission. Igwe, a substitution, gives this one a touch. Alani's with a sense of urgency, gets it up to Izagire. She breaks free, running step for step with Dubak. And Deebly able to clear it for Tulsa. Maddie Bowers applies some pressure. Janae Sanders comes up with a steal. Houston trying to steal one with 25 seconds left.
Zagara trying to set something up here.
Physicality, and Bowers is called for the egregious touching. And we get a foul there right before the break. Be curious to see if Emma Malsey gives this one a ride before the half ends in 2 seconds, or if Tulsa's content to go to the locker room. That appears to be the case. It's a 3-1 contest. Houston goes down early but rallies in the 10 to 20 minute mark with 3 goals and a huge first frame of play from Carl Lewis. We'll be right back with you shortly. We're going to break, calibrate our thoughts, and take a look at the first half numbers for you, and we'll break it all down with the Max Sports TV halftime report. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Carl Lewis International Complex, everybody. My name's Garrett Jones. She's Paige Lawrence. We've seen a very entertaining first half of action as Houston nestles a 3-1 lead from home, looking to go to 4-0-0 on the regular season, defending its home pitch. Paige, in the first 2 minutes and 53 seconds, we saw Tulsa break the goal-scoring seal. Mia Darden cashed in on the confusion in front of the Houston net.
Yeah, Mia Darden has been playing very well for Tulsa, but unable to capitalize on that first goal we saw very early on in this competition against the Cougars. So Mia Darden definitely is going to have some vengeance here coming into the second half, I believe, as she's been playing both sides of the field. We kind of saw her come across at the end of the first half to try to make something work for this Tulsa team. So definitely expecting her to come out the gate swinging here in the second half.
10 minutes and 6 seconds later, it was Houston getting a great push, and able to cash in was Jasmine Grant after Adriana Hudson got around a defender, made a great play, and Grant absolutely slam dunked the ball to the back of the Tulsa net.
Yeah, Grant always being exactly when you need her, and the placement was everything. And I think Malsey there was a bit confused as that ball kind of crossed over, because I thought the attempt would come more so from Brasha there, but Grant was going to be the scorer there on that play.
Just 7 minutes later, Ziana Brown got a great look from Mia Brasha. And when Ziana Brown gets loose, there's often not much you can do to stop her. She makes her third tally of the year to make it 2-1 Houston.
Yeah, Brown being one that you do not want to let go, because one move is all it takes for Brown.
Right.
And there you have it, another goal there for your Houston Cougars.
Mia Brasha just seconds later, less than a full minute later, 56 seconds after Brown's tally, Brasha takes a step in, gets a great look, and gives it a ride to the back of the Tulsa net.
Brasha all over the field today, making plays, key plays at that, for the Cougars to take over the lead 3-1 over Tulsa. So Brasha playing very well. As Coach Bocanegra, I definitely think he's pleased with her play performance today.
Taking a look at the numbers, Houston with 7 shots, Tulsa with 3. As for the Houston netminder, Salma Ghazal, just a single save. She's let one get by. Meanwhile, despite Emma Malsey giving up 3 goals, I should say, she's made 3 pretty impressive saves herself in the Tulsa net.
Yeah, even the one right before the half took place here, we saw a lot of shots being taken on there from Malsey, but Malsey not giving in and keeping her feet planted. You see her being able to navigate left to right as the ball kind of moved across the field there. So great job by Malsey today. She's definitely been playing well, besides the 3 goals that she did allow there, but definitely expecting her to continue her saving grace here as the Tulsa continues to try to tread back after this 2-goal deficient here.
And the patented scoring style of Houston, setting up offense from corners, hasn't been as much as an impact in this first half. However, they've still got an edge over Tulsa with 3 corners to the Golden Hurricane 1.
Yeah, not yet able to be quite successful off the corner kicks for your Houston Cougars, as we're used to kind of seeing that from them, being the corner kicks being their bread and butter here. But a little shift of narrative, and I think that may be key for the remainder of the conference play for the Cougars, is not so much relying on those corner kicks, but able to set up those plays without those corner kicks.
And elsewhere, Houston normally a really established team as far as discipline. They've committed 4 fouls to Tulsa's 3. Both teams have been pretty physical. What stands out to you about that number?
So Tulsa comes in with a lot of fouls, and your Cougar team more of the discipline side. So to see those fouls kind of being played here by the Cougars, it's almost interesting to maybe they're playing to their competition. Maybe they know going into this game they had to be a little bit more aggressive, or Tulsa was going to kind of walk all over them. So bringing that aggressiveness, unfortunately bringing in some fouls as well.
Absolutely. Should be a very entertaining second half of action. After 45 minutes, again, it's Houston 3 and Tulsa 1. Don't go anywhere. Our coverage of Houston Cougar soccer continues in just a moment. Ready for action in the second half on a sunny afternoon in this Sunday matchup in the American Conference between Houston and Tulsa. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Garrett Jones. Paige Lawrence alongside me here. And for Houston in that first half, it was a slow start with 3 huge goals to absolutely flip the script.
Yeah, definitely a slower start here for your Houston Cougars, but after that first goal from Tulsa, I think that definitely woke the beast here up, in the Houston Cougars definitely playing with higher energy, more aggression, and even communicating more. Fans are in the stands here as we're seeing as the spring sports for UH move to 25% capacity here.
Great catch, Paige. There's just no contrast between what we saw in the season opener against Houston Baptist, where it was by pass only, right?
Yeah.
You could only get in if you were a close family member or a friend. And there were maybe, 50 people in attendance in that home opener? A crowd of a couple hundred people here today, and you can absolutely sense a palpable change in the energy level. Ready for action here in the second half. Houston guarding a 3-1 lead, looking for win number 4 on the 2021 season.
And it's also senior day for your Cougars, so you're seeing them play with much more fire under their bellies today. And look at this, Amy Wynn there.
Amy Wynn has to chase it all the way back toward the Houston net. Cougs in their home white kits, Tulsa in the road blacks. Houston now moves left to right as we describe the action. Tulsa rockets this one in, now moving right to left. Here's a touch in the midfield as Houston gets its first look in Tulsa territory in this second frame. Goals for Houston in that first, 8 minutes of action from Grant Brown and Mia Brasha, each one of those elite goal scorers tallying their 3rd of the season.
Seeing Sanders here trying to navigate the ball here, even sending it back.
Tulsa, on the other hand, comes in at 1-3. It scored just its 4th goal of the 2021 season today. Its prior 3 all came in one contest in a 3-2 win over UCF on the last day of February. Work still to do for Houston today as Matthews sees that one roll out of bounds off of her thigh. And we'll get a throw in for Deebly and Tulsa. Right back to her. It sets up with a touch for Kayla Fernandez. Mia Brasha doing work on the defensive end, trying to get that one to Furmanek. Brasha is such a strong, offensively minded player. You see her there boxing out Fernandez.
Nice play there, yeah.
That goes back to the H-Town hustle that you mentioned. It's the mantra of this Houston team this year, and you really see that with their style of play. We mentioned Ziana Brown, who we're both just such a huge fan of, just of how she plays with high energy and physical separation. It matriculates all the way down through every player on the roster. And, even a goal scorer like Mia Brasha, somebody like her who's a forward who scores a lot, might have a reputation of somebody who's a little more of a finesse scorer. You think of several professional soccer players who kind of have that reputation. But you look at her and you look at Jasmine Grant and you think that is not the case at all. Both of those players are not afraid to get physical.
And you also notice with this team that they're very much aware of ball and placement as well. So you're seeing them play with a little bit more strategically this year than versus your prior years for your Houston Cougar team.
Touchback on the defensive side for Tulsa. Deebly tried to get in, and instead it'll be a throw-in. Emma Ebert opposite Janae Sanders. Ebert, the freshman from Kingwood High School, making a homecoming, checks into the contest for the first time today. Several players on this Tulsa roster hail from the Houston area. In addition to Ebert, here's a Juliet Haro, who we haven't seen, as we get a whistle here as Houston gets a good look in front of the net. Juliet Haro from Katie Tompkins. Tompkins is one of the best soccer programs in the area. We haven't seen her this afternoon. Goal kick coming as Malsey sends this one toward the midfield line, and advantageous bounce. It comes right back with Tulsa.
This time around, I'm sensing a bit of the wind picking up.
Right.
Just a little bit on the back of Tulsa's end. So in Tulsa's favor, the wind is on their back here. So I wonder if that will be any difference for them here in this second half.
Deebly with an effort play to set up a free kick for Emily Brandenburg. Another one of those Houston area players, hails from Spring and Concordia Lutheran School. Here's Jasmine Grant, the Atascocita product, sending it well into the Tulsa defense. And back with Emma Mulsey. Her third stop collegiately after time at Arizona State and Kansas State. Chopped down into midfield. Sanders peeks behind and gets a look for Houston. Just couldn't quite get into it as time as that one rolls out of play. Houston looking for its fourth win at home and in as many contests. Vermanick back for Sanders, getting a lot of touches in this second half. Has that one broken up.
Sanders plays very neat here. She's very patient as well as she plays, and I'm noticing that time after time as she comes in contact with the ball, she's very precise on the way she handles the ball as well.
Caitlin Matthews with the touch in the midfield, not on the same page with Adriana Hudson there.
But look who's there on the outside. That's Wynn there coming up, as she does.
And that's what Amy Wynn does. A senior transfer from Oklahoma State, a Houston Memorial product, just always seems to be in the right place at the right time. When you get things straightened out here, our assistant referee, Ethan Free, sets up the right place to toss it in for Houston. Leading 3-1.
Ooh.
5 minutes into this second half, and a nice stab there by Mulsey to keep that one from setting up a scoring chance.
Yeah, I kind of cringed a bit there because if any other Cougar was there at that moment, definitely would have been a score goal there on Mulsey.
She punts this one off the head of Maddie Gear. Houston attempts to settle it down, but more pressure from Tulsa.
Here comes Brasha here trying to set something up here. Gear there.
She's with a lot of speed, swipes on in. Grant gets taken down. No whistle.
No whistles there. Official claiming fair play on that last play there, but Grant did kind of take a kneel there.
Emma Clark resets. That one's too long for Hudson. And what you see there, it looked like there was quite a bit of contact as Grant flopped down toward the deck. As we get another whistle on the far sideline, Houston will get a throw in. Body contact from Jasmine Grant, who, despite being Houston's top point getter and scoring 18 goals in her career, not afraid to throw the body around. Gear with the misstep. Here comes Grant. Jasmine in deep. Broken up nicely on the defensive end by Bree Deebly.
And we're going to have a corner kick for your Cougars.
This will be CK number 5 for Houston. And this is an offense that kind of makes its money off of corner kicks. 27 on the season coming into today's match.
Brasha making her way for that CK there. And we talked about how efficient she's been from this corner here. So let's see how she plans to place as far as ball placement here.
Houston wants Brasha setting up its corners. With the right foot, she gives this one in. Broken up and back to her. An interesting strategy as Fermanic knocked that one down, but Brasha not on the same page, and it will be a Tulsa throw-in. Not usually the strategy for Houston going with the short leg. As here's a dangerous play, nearly turned over. Tulsa able to get it out of its defensive third. Given a ride by Isolde Runesdottir, who just checked into the match. All the way from Iceland. Sends this one into the Houston zone where Emma Clark gives it a drive. Gear is great with the moves. Able to get that one away.
Emma Clark here will boot it out of the Houston territory here.
Here goes Ziana Brown.
Here she goes. The
All
speed
gas,
here.
no brakes is her play style. She puts a move on, got a step, and then sent it in front, but able to be cleared by Runa's daughter. Well, that was nicely done. When Ziana Brown gets ahead of steam, it's hard to slow her down.
Yeah, I'm telling you, one wrong step for any of the defenders against Brown, Brown will definitely make her way past that defender.
Already seen her score a goal today. Houston got all of its tallies between the 12th minute and the 19th minute in that first half. Quiet through the first 10 minutes of action and counting in this first frame. Second half action approaching the 55th minute as Tulsa tries to get it out of the midfield. Emma Clark retreats all the way back across the American logo. Houston looking for its first points in conference on the season. Memphis running the table so far with 12 at the top of the heap. The next opponent for Houston, USF, at least at home, is in second place with 9. We'll have that one for you a week from today from the Carl Lewis Complex.
And I believe your Houston Cougars will go on road next week to play Cincinnati.
Yep.
As well. So that'll be a great game for them as well as they're trying to get a road win for this season.
It hasn't happened so far this year. UH 0-2-1 away from Houston. Malsey gives this one a tap and sets it up with her defense. A couple games ago we were talking that, especially when Houston played Rice, you would think that that'd be one of the school's biggest rivalries, but UPage mentioned that Cincinnati, just because of the top-to-bottom comparison of how many times Houston and Cincinnati have clashed over a canvas of sports and important matches and championship finals. Exhibit A was last week when UH topped Cincy in the men's conference tournament championship game. That's a game that Houston will not take lightly on Wednesday.
Yeah, Cincinnati has just been a pain for all of our sports, so to say the least. So I definitely would consider them to be Houston's one of their biggest rivals across the board. We talked about just how our Houston neighbors are not so much as our competitors, and we kind of root for one another as we're all in different conferences. Each Houston team is in different conferences as well. So that's an interesting dynamic that we do have here in Houston, but I think that just also speaks to the culture of Houston as well. We're all one at the end of the day. We're representing Houston, and both of these athletic programs definitely do a great job. So I'm curious to see how this Houston team will respond to Cincinnati.
A takedown near the boundary. Tulsa pulls away. Can't say enough about Madison Tokarczyk, who's a freshman from Tulsa Bishop Kelly High School, and she's just had her hands all over this game despite not making an impact in the box score so far. This one sails wide at the goal, and Tokarczyk's father actually played for the Tulsa Men's Club.
Oh, wow.
In 1993 to 1994. Houston does not have a men's team. The women's soccer are the flagship for UH soccer. Sent in for Deebley. She crosses the midfield stripe, and it's punched away by Maddie Gear. Physicality for the sophomore from Rockwall. We didn't see her in the first couple games of the season. This is only match number 3 for her. But there's a definite difference when you see Maddie Gear on the pitch.
When Gear first came to Houston, she was awarded Houston's newcomer for the offensive side of the Cougars there. So definitely she's going to be a key player for this Houston team. Maybe have to have some more development and a few more games under her belt. As you said, this is only her 3rd competition here for your Houston Cougars.
That's a rude welcome back home for Emma Ebert, who just took a Mia Brasha rocket off the chest. It clearly shook her up, but to her credit, she's staying in the match. Unaffected by that strong send-in.
Check this out. Brown here.
She's loose. She sends it high and across the crossbar.
Yeah, Brown is definitely edging and ready for that next goal there. She's making her presence being felt. A lot of speed there for her, and Tulsa unable to keep up with that speed that Brown is bringing.
Brown with 3 goals on the regular season. 1 today. Came in with 2 goals and a team-high 6-point. Tied with Jasmine Grant in that column as Houston will set up another corner here. This will be number 5 on the afternoon. And who else but Mia Brasha to take it? Sent in front, headed away, and nicely cleared by Brandenburg. You go back a couple matches ago to that Houston Baptist game, and Houston was able to engineer all 3 of its goals from corner kicks. But in the American Conference, it's a bit of a different story. These clubs are just so
You know, you're seeing a lot of different strategies that this Houston Cougars team has even tried to take with these corner kicks. Like we saw in the prior corner kick, you know, one of the players will come out to receive the ball instead of her sending the ball across the field like we just saw on that prior corner kick. So some different strategies trying to take place for this Houston Cougars team as they're trying to be more efficient here on their corner kicks against their conference teams.
Runer's daughter sends this one deep into the Houston defending third, where Fermanic has to turn it around and just sail it out of play, out of position, and that would have been a rare look for Tulsa and the Houston scoring chance.
Yeah, trying to get Gabriela Borboa here some play. We haven't really mentioned her much this game, but
match. Balboa shovels this one in. Cleared by Houston. Then Runer's daughter sends this one in. Tough angle, and it ends up on top of the net. Tried to chip the keeper and send that one in over the head of Gazal. Luckily, Houston catches a break, and that one just had too much on it. Kayla Izagire, junior from Pearland High School, checks back in. One of many local products in this game. We mentioned 3 for Tulsa. Obviously, Houston recruits its hometown heavily. One of the largest population centers in the country. A lot of soccer talent in this area.
yeah, and you also see like a lot of your out-of-state teams try to recruit from this hub of Houston. And, some trouble here we're seeing.
Yellow is called. Kayla Izagire with their arms behind her back, claiming innocence.
I'm not sure if that was against Izagire or Wynn. I think that may have been against Wynn in there.
Either way, it leads to a stoppage.
Yeah.
Amy Wynn picks up the yellow. That's the first yellow that Houston has picked up at home this season. Normally we mentioned a very disciplined group. Diego Bocanegra not going to like that. Sent in. Broken up. No harm on the foul. As Grant fights for possession, and she's got a one-on-one. Jasmine Grant into the Tulsa third with a step on the defense. It's broken up on the back end. Jada Holmes ran step for step, senior on senior crime, and Grant is slow to get up, unfortunately.
Trying to pull up her shin guards there, making sure she's all right. Maybe a bit shaken up after that play. Trying to get some speed there, but that was Jade there to break that up from Grant. So that's something different we've seen. Not a lot of opponents have been able to break Grant in her speed there.
All right, here comes another corner. Mia Brasha, attempt number 3 of this half from this corner. Curled in, headed down, and out of play. Moving into the 63rd minute now. Houston 3, Tulsa 1. Goals for the Cougs from Brown, Grant, and Brasha. Tulsa, if you can believe it, led in this contest. Goal 2 minutes in from Mia Darden got things going.
So no goals yet for this second half from either team here. So some great competition, a lot of back and forthness we've been seeing from both teams. And we spoke about that yellow card we just saw. You know, not something that Houston is familiar with, as Bocanegra kind of prides his team being a clean, professional team here. But we're seeing a lot more fouls in a yellow card. I definitely think that's going to be something that Bocanegra will take into this week coming up.
Bocanegra, well-traveled individual in his 4th season at the helm for UH, previously an assistant at Notre Dame, where he led the Fighting Irish to 4 NCAA tournament appearances. Also worked with the Houston Dash in 2017. So, yeah, you mentioned that professionalism and disciplined play. Sure enough, a product of coaching with some elite soccer clubs over the years. Malsey sends this one in. Amy Wynn gives it a look right before the Houston bench, but that one rails out of play. Sun out and shining now at the Carl Lewis Complex, the first home matinee that Houston has played in 2021.
Yeah, the sun is definitely beaming. I think we may have a mask tan after this game. It's a little bit different from our prior games. We spoke about how just the weather has been different for all of these games, but it's important because these players have been able to play in pretty much all the conditions that you can think of thus far for this season.
Yeah, it's such a strange dynamic as Houston picks up corner kick number 8 here. Brasha sends this one in, broken up by Clark. A chance for Brown, tapped in front. A nice save, but the follower almost finds the back. Headed in by Houston after 2 nice looks at the net.
And after Malsey kind of blocked the first possession, but Houston tried to send it back in there. That was Tokarczyk there taking the goalie position, heading it out of the goal there, saving Tulsa. Very scary moment there. A lot going on at the goal.
Well, Tulsa gives out a Player of the Match award. If I'm Tulsa, despite Mia Darden picking up the one and only goal so far for Tulsa with time left to play, obviously, as we're moving into the 66th minute, I think that Tokarczyk is a great candidate for Player of the Match for TU.
No, I can definitely agree. Something definitely to give her flowers for this game. She's been playing very well. A freshman, so not yet really familiar with exactly the collegiate role and how the collegiate role is different from the high school level here. But she's definitely stepping up to the plate and playing well. Great move by Tulsa by having her there.
Lily Bray checks into the match for Houston. Teammate of Emma Clark's back in Christchurch, New Zealand. Same college club for those two. As this one rolls all the way back toward Gazal in the Houston net. Been a quiet afternoon for her, Paige. Comes in with gaudy numbers at .47 with the goals against average, saving 82% of opponent shots entering today's match.
Yeah, some of these players have not really seen a lot of play here as far as ball touches goes, because the ball has just been everywhere, to be honest. Here, it hasn't really been dominantly on the Houston end or the Tulsa's end here. So, interesting perspective as those players get heated up and ready to go, too.
Emma Clark sends this one in. Gear with some separation, tried to head it, but broken up nicely by Runer's daughter. And out of play where Tulsa will throw it in.
Oh, actually, it's going to be your Houston.
Yeah, they say it was.
Sanders coming up.
That was a surprise to Tulsa defender Bree Deebley, who came up and played the ball out of bounds, but instead we're going to throw in from Sanders. Lily Bray had it taken off her foot by Deebley, who's also been a spark plug after not getting the start today for Tulsa. Maddie Gear chips it in for UH. Grant in the corner. Back to Gear. She puts the moves on. Sends it in front where Tulsa does a nice job to catch up with it. Here's a chip at the midfield, but Emma Clark, the cerebral senior defender, wisely in the right position to stop that. Gear in front. Working laterally. Alani's with the curl. Broken up on the back end by Jada Holmes. Sent in by Wynn, but well over the crossbar. Couple good looks there for Houston in its attacking third.
Yeah, great hustle there by your Cougars there. Trying to set up many different plays as we saw them kind of try to navigate the ball there, but Wynn booting it out eventually there to end that possession there for the Cougars. And Malsey here giving it a kick.
Goal kick coming for Tulsa. Sent into the middle third where it's headed and bopped down by Addie Tate, who just subbed into the game. Here's a burst for Tulsa. Look out. Sent it. Gazal off the post. Oh, my goodness. It rings off the post, and Gazal gets a huge break.
Ooh, nice save there by the post there.
Well, you can look at that for Tulsa a couple of ways. You're either really snake bit or you're halfway accurate. But it rings off the post, and Houston gets a big break, still leading 3-1 as we play in the 69th minute. And on the other end, Gear trying to make it a 2-goal swing. Broken up by Malsey. There's a good contingency of Tulsa fans here all around us in the stands. They've made about a 6 or 7 hour drive south to take in this match today, and they've been rewarded with a great game, but that has to be tough, seeing that much of an opportunity squandered by a matter of inches.
Man, but I also think that this may even wake the Tulsa team up a bit. It's like this game is not over. You know, still give your shots here. They have a couple shots here in this second half, but not too many here. So definitely want to get some more attempts in. You're down 2 goals here, so those attempts are going to have to come about if you want any type of leadership in this game.
That's only the 4th shot of the day for Tulsa on the other end. Houston with 9 for a comparison. Tate walks this one in, but right into the waiting arms of Emma Malsey. And the graduate from Westminster, California, doing her part defensively. Now save number 6 for her. Sanders taps this one high in the air. Lily Bray.
Lily Bray haven't said her much today.
Just subbed in. Gear back to Sanders as we play in the 71st minute. Houston looking to secure conference win number 1. Broken up toward the middle. Back to Bray. Over to Gear with a lot of green grass. She's dangerous there. Looking for goal number 1 on 2021. Sends it in with the left foot. Wanted the crossing paths, but it's wide. Houston keeps it in. Push from behind. Wynn tries to turn it.
Wynn's trying there.
1-on-1 with Jada Holmes. Impressive effort. Clark with a drive. Sent in front, headed away by Malsey, and we get a whistle.
Malsey playing very well here, just protecting the goal, doing her job here. And we're seeing the Houston Cougars bringing the pressure, but she's not backing down one bit.
Goals for Houston today from Grant Brown and Brasha, all those coming within 8 minutes of each other. And Paige, it seems like with the exception of that absolute blitz from the Houston forwards, it's been a really solid day at the office for Emma Malsey. Tapped back to Sanders. To Gear in the midfield. A lot of touches for her in the second half as Deebley breaks that one off, and we'll get a throw in for UH.
Man, for some reason, I cannot get over that goal attempt for Tulsa there.
Yeah.
Hitting the goalpost wide open there, but just very barely off there.
Subs for Houston. Sanders and Gear both get a break. Those two have been all over the pitch for Houston this afternoon. Brielle Maloney checks into the match along with Ava Alanis. Morgan Good also. Anderson steps in there and has it cleared. 17 minutes and counting as Houston tries to put the finishing touches on what will be a really quality win at home. The record and the margin tell a very different story than we've seen in American Conference play for Houston. The Cougs with one of the best margins in the country, including today, they've scored 16 goals. have given up just a fourth of that total, with 4 pushed across the netminder this year. In American play, however, it's been a much different story. Houston picked up its first 3 goals in conference action today. Came in being outscored 0-2.
I think this game will definitely be able to be almost like a confidence booster for conference play for the Houston Cougars. You know, they've been a bit down as they've been able to kind of convert those home wins to road wins here. So having some conference play on their home field is probably exactly what this team needed.
Borboa with the takedown there. She couldn't believe it. The junior out of San Diego trying to plead her case with the official, but Cassidy Fermanic, calm, cool, and collected, sets up a free kick here. Wrapped in with her right foot. Settled down by Ramner's daughter. Ava Alani's 1-on-2. Had it stolen away. Natalie Anderson applies the pressure on Emily Brandenburg, the Houston area product who's had a lot of touches for Tulsa this afternoon. Anderson settles this one down, trying to set up some offense for UH. Amy Wynn with a step in now. Trying to rally that one in, but it's broken up by Tulsa defensively.
Yeah, Jada Holmes not letting anything come past her for these last few possessions.
Deebley walks all the way back toward the near corner and sees it out of bounds. Here's a toss it as Brandenburg sets things up for Tulsa. But moving into the 76th minute now, Paige, you can't have any kind of lapse in sense of urgency. They need goals. Try to steal one on the road today, and they need them quick.
Yeah, time is definitely not on Tulsa's side. They're going to need a goal here very soon, or it's going to be looking more in possession of the Cougars here for this road game for them.
Houston so far has gotten all it's needed in an 8-minute burst in that first half as we get a whistle here, and very unfortunate. Brielle Maloney, she just checked into the match, and she is slow to get up, favoring that right leg.
Yeah, hearing some cries as well, so definitely in some pain, holding that left knee there. So hoping that she's okay there. Looks very much in pain, though.
Had athletic trainers out to assess the situation for the University of Houston. Maloney, the sophomore out of St. Augustine, Florida, and Bartram Trail High School, didn't play last year. Has seen sparing playing time in 2021. All-state with 3 district championships and a conference champion in high school. But right now the focus and attention certainly on her health and that left knee. Logan Steiner, the athletic trainer for UH, is outperforming some action, and Paige, while Maloney is tended to, certainly wishing the best for her. This brings us to a stop at the 75-minute mark, and after an exciting first half, things have really kind of slowed down here in the second. What is Houston doing right now strategically that's setting itself apart in this kind of park-the-bus style defensive attack?
I believe this Houston Cougar team is definitely playing strategically. We're seeing them pass a little bit more, communicate, and strategize as far as utilizing plays during this different second half here against Tulsa. You know, you're up 2 goals here, so you kind of want to work on some things that you may have been weak on the road against your other conference opponents, and I think that's something that we've been seeing here for your Houston Cougars. But as Maloney here being assisted off by our trainers and other support staff, wishing her a healthy return here and a healthy recovery, as we're unsure of her injury at this time.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. She doesn't look like she's able to put any weight on that left leg just yet. Players are returning to the pitch, and she got a great applause there from this mostly Cougar Red crowd. Obviously, we mentioned some Tulsa fans making the trip south as well, and good sportsmanship on display as they give her a hand as well. It's just terribly unfortunate for Maloney, a player that doesn't get a lot of playing time. We mentioned didn't play at all in 2019. Just minutes after checking in for the first time today, she leaves due to injury.
No, we spoke about a little bit earlier how 25% capacity now at these spring sport games, and we're seeing a lot of individuals here, but also it's spring break. So this is definitely maybe another reason why you're seeing a lot of competitors and fans and other students here at the game for the Cougars.
The show goes on, and an update on Maloney as she's walking off with Steiner. It does look like she's able to put some pressure on that left leg, so that's a great sign for Houston as Deebley breaks it up in the midfield here. Maddie Bowers applying the pressure, and a toss incoming for Alanis. As we play now in the 76th minute of action. Just a little bit of work left to do for Houston. It has played a very clean first 3/4 of this match.
2 subs coming in now.
Reed Morrison on her senior day back into the match along with Madison DiChiara. As Alanis fights for the possession, and Nadia Kasima subs into the match for the first time today. She gets a touch opposite Brandenburg. Chance almost left behind by the Tulsa defense, and Houston able to get it right back. Here's a chance in front, set high off the crossbar. Great save by Emma Malsey.
Yeah, great save by Malsey, being aware of where that ball may have been placed there, but great effort there by your Cougars too.
Another corner kick coming. Houston just makes its money off of these. 27 coming into the match on the season. They'll get one from the far left corner today. And interestingly, it's not going to be Mia Brasha taking it. It's Addie Tate, the sophomore from Allen. Played in 9 games a year ago, taking on a bigger role in 2021. Curves this one in the 78th. Sent in front. Great look. But Bowers has to catch it up off the rebound after the miss. Holmes, all effort defensively. Tries to clear. Houston still got a chance in front, and it dies down at the midfield after Tulsa does a great job defensively.
Darden trying to give some speed there, but unable to make it past Izagirre there.
Darden has the 1 goal for Tulsa on the afternoon. Gazal did well in deep. As Kasima has that one taken right off her foot. Brandenburg gives the effort and then gets shoved down into the turf. So we'll get a free kick coming for Brandenburg. Tulsa coming in, averaging almost 10 fouls per game.
Interesting she chose to kick it to Karchik there, as we've known her to be a big player movement here for this team here. So interesting she chose to go to the left and not forward for the Tulsa team. You need those 2 goals, so not really seeing a lot of hustle there towards the Tulsa end.
Swung over for Alanis with a little bit of green grass. She puts on the crossover and crosses it in. Turnaround by Bowers. Sent in front. DiChiara with an incredible look, but an athletic save by Emma Malsey.
Malsey out here throwing her body, doing whatever it takes here, clapping her hands to her teammates, saying, let's go here. So she's doing her part here. Malsey playing very, very well for Tulsa.
80th minute, it'll be a corner kick coming. Addie Tate swings this one in. That one's tipped away. Still in front for using the turnaround. Broken up. Still in play. Callahan on top of it. She tries to score, and it's in the net.
So that congestion there, and the Cougars still able to get a goal, making the score 4-1 over your Tulsa Hurricanes.
And it just felt like it was a matter of time.
Yeah.
As Houston adds its 4th of the day. It looked like it was Callahan, but we always wait on an official score to give you that.
But, you know, this Houston team was very persistent in making something happen there. We saw it in the play before that, but they gave it to Nadia there.
How about Nadia Kasima checking into the game just seconds after Maloney's injury, and she's right on top of it, and adds goal number 4 of the day for Houston. And in case you're just now getting tuned in, Scorebug, which I'm in charge of operating, had Tulsa with 4, Houston with 1. That's an operator error. So, Cougs fans, I do apologize if I was sending your blood pressure through the roof there. It is Houston on top of Tulsa by a 3-goal cushion here in the 81st minute. As Cosima, the freshman from Camarillo, California, came all the way to play soccer at UH and cashing in for Bocanegra and company. His team leading 4-1. Here's a chance for Tulsa. Match is not over, and a takedown, a whistle stops things as we continue to play here in the 81st.
That was Lily Bray and Kalea Callahan checking back into the game for the Cougars after that last goal we just saw there. But we got a foul on the play here. Another foul for these Houston Cougar teams. Something that
Another yellow.
Another yellow. Wow.
So see they scored upon. DTR was in the area. That's the second yellow of the day for Houston. It's really interesting because we haven't seen many yellows for Houston. In fact, we haven't seen any at home prior to today's match. So it'll be a great chance with the free kick coming near the Houston goal mouth. Swung in deep. Here's a chance. Broken up by Gasol. She has been on the money this afternoon despite the offense stealing the show today.
And it's going to be a corner kick for Tulsa here, making it their third of today.
Sent in deep and broken up along the baseline. We get another whistle. Yeah, Houston dominating that department. 9 corner kicks for the Cougars, just 3 for Tulsa this afternoon. That's a quality product of getting good chances in front of the net. If it sails out of bounds near the net, you know it's going to lead to a corner. And it just shows you how many more chances Houston has had in front of the net as compared to Tulsa.
So able to keep it in there. It's Alanis there.
Fighting for possession. Bray with a takedown. Gets it back in the midfield. Turned around by Mia Darden. Callahan attempted slide tackle, and we get a whistle to break it up again. Another free kick coming for Tulsa. They're starting to pile these up in the late stages of this contest.
Yeah, trying to make something happen now as they're now down 3 goals against the Cougars.
Goals for Houston today from Grant Brown Brasha and Nadia Kamasa, her first as a Cougar. Sent in now as Tulsa has to retreat all the way back toward its goal. They set it up with a goalie tap. As we move into the 83rd, all the pressure is on Tulsa. Houston's just minutes away from a very quality win. It would be the first in the American this year. Houston, the only team in the American Conference table without points. Addie Tate checks in the contest. And how about this story for Cade Godfrey? On her senior day, the Salt Lake City, Utah product checks in and will defend the Houston goal for the final 7 minutes of this match. Great story here as we've seen every Cougar honored in the pregame ceremony take the pitch.
Yeah, and that was actually really nice to watch. You know, as they called each individual player out, they had something on the video board playing with the coaches and teammates just sharing some cool facts or just some thoughts that they would think about the players of the seniors day. And very touching moment, to say the least.
Callahan in deep, looking for number 5. Around her defender, she sends it in front, and it's broken up. That was actually Kamasa, I beg your pardon. So she gets one, and that just creates that aggression and the hunger for another in the 84th. Slid back and broken up by Izaguirre. This one's out of play. Paige, you ran track and field for Houston up until 2018. You were mentioning your senior day, the ceremony and all the pageantry and bombast in every regard kind of gave you an extra boost, you said, when you ran. just a few years ago for Cougar Track.
Yeah, it's something about having all of your family in the stands. It makes you just play with a little
Right.
bit more passion, a little bit more desire as well. And I think that having senior day, you want to play very, very well to not only make it worth your family's time, but also this is your senior day. This is the last time you will be announced as a senior for this program. So definitely got to go out with a bang, and we're seeing that here today.
Here's a chance in front. Another quality look for UH, broken up by Tulsa defensively.
See Dart in there.
As she gives this one a tap back for Addie Tate in the Houston defensive third. And you know, it's interesting talking with a member of our crew here earlier today. I mentioned that Houston still got 3 more home matches left. We'll have them here for you on Max Sports TV starting next Sunday against USF. As Lily Bray is in alone. A lot of green grass. The New Zealand product is in. With the move with the right foot, goes with the left and has it taken off by Emma Mulsey. Nicely done by Bray.
Mulsey trying to hold it in between her legs there, doing whatever she can do to save this Tulsa team from any more goals here. She's been playing very well despite the statistic on the board here, but she's been doing phenomenal, to say the least, for this Tulsa team.
Here's the Houston touch in the midfield. And going back to the upcoming schedule for UH, they've got Cincinnati in an intense rivalry game coming up on the 24th. USF a week from today. We'll have that one for you wherever you tune in, whether it's MaxSportsTV.com or Facebook page or the Houston Women's Soccer Facebook page. We thank you for tuning in however you do. Another home match against Temple, and then finally the third of the homestand, which is technically the last home contest for Houston in 2021 against SMU. That's a makeup game after that one was rescheduled due to the ice storm about a month ago. And finally, the Cougars finish off the regular season at UCF, which will be another tough task. But, Paige, no task tougher than that USF match coming a week from today.
Yeah, USF is definitely going to be a game to watch, so make sure you tune in for that, as this team definitely will have something to show. We're going to have maybe even a win here over Tulsa today, but bringing in another conference team to this home field, I'm curious to see if that home field advantage will stand.
Right. Formanek will send in the free kick as Houston's putting the finishing touches on what would be win number 4 on the season. The record is impressive. If Houston can close it off here in the final 4 minutes, it improved to 4-2-1. As Kamasa and Callahan with no let-up, Kalia walked that one all the way into the Tulsa goal mouth. The other impressive mark for Houston is the Cougars are still outscoring their opponents 17-4 in 2021. One of the best margins in the American. Just the disparity between the non-conference and the conference play so far for UH has been the reason why that's been lapsing. But today, Paige, a step in the right direction with 4 goals against Tulsa, just 1 allowed, and what looks like it's going to be a very nice conference win, number 1.
And yes, this conference win is definitely what this Cougars needed, as they've struggled a bit thus far in conference play, but all of those conference games have been on the road. So to bring it back here to their home field where they're comfortable and this is where they know to play, definitely is a great look on Houston's end.
As for Tulsa, another tough schedule upcoming. They've battled USF already. Still got to play Memphis, who's the best team in the conference. One of 9 clubs in the American competing in 2021. Here's a send-in broken down in the midfield. Juliana Fernandez knocks it down. And, you know, Paige, as we play in the 88th, you're not going to force 3 goals across, but what you want is effort right here, like you see from Darden, who gave that one too much of a ride. It's still in front. A chance is cleared by Alanis. But if you're Kyle Cousins and company, that's what you want to see in these final few minutes. Chopped down in the midfield. Tokarczyk draws a whistle, and we'll get another stoppage right before the end of this one.
Yes, this game winds down. It's interesting because it seems like the Houston's energy still has not died down.
Right.
With that 3-goal lead, they're still giving its attempts as well. Malsey there on that save.
Yeah, don't see a starter out there for UH as the bench unit has come on, including Godfrey in net, who has pitched a clean sheet on her senior day. Came on in the 83rd as we get another tap and a whistle as Lily Bray draws the stoppage. And it seems like in these final 20 minutes or so that these two gave it their all in the first 25, the first quarter of the game. And since then, it's been a little undisciplined trying to settle things down.
And we kind of spoke about that at the beginning of the game, how this game was going to require a lot more endurance, as we've been playing on both ends, both Houston and Tulsa's territory today. So, and normally when there's fatigueness, that's where you kind of see a lot of those fouls take place from both units.
89th minute as Houston looks to put the finishing touches on what will be a great win at home from Carl Lewis. It's onside. A little work to do for Godfrey, and she moves to her right and makes a nice stop. No urgency for the senior from Utah. Looped in near the midfield. Great win for Diego Bocanegra and company. It started a little rocky. A bit of a confusing result in the first 10 minutes or so, but a 3-goal burst for Houston in the 12th through 20th minutes really ends up being the difference today. And Nadia Camasa's first goal of her Houston career, really just the cherry on top. As Tulsa hurries for a corner in the final 10 seconds of this game. Setting thing up from the defense. It won't matter because Houston comes out on top as the horn sounds, and it's a 4-1 victory for the Cougars. As we wrap things up, we welcome you back here to our pitside perch, and Paige, Houston goes on top today. A very big win. Looking forward to that USF matchup a week from today. Still got to handle Cincinnati on Wednesday, but today they were just the more aggressive and offensively talented team.
Great win here by your Houston Cougars, as although they did get a slow start today, but they were able to pick up the energy after that first goal from Tulsa and bring it back for the win there, 4-1 over Tulsa today. Great competition we saw today and conference play for the Cougars.
Houston goes to 4-2-1 on the season. Tulsa falls to 1-4. Also very important first 2 points picked up for Houston in the American Conference table. They were the last team to record a point. Goals today for Houston from Grant, Brown, Brasha, and finally from Kamasa. Before we wrap it up, Paige, any final thoughts on what you saw today?
Definitely think that this is the win that the Cougars were desperately in need as for their conference play. They will see Cincinnati next week, so I definitely believe they will take this energy that they played against Tulsa and take that into their road game against Cincinnati for hopefully a win for that team.
Houston comes out on top in front of its home fans, still undefeated at the Carl Lewis Complex. On behalf of our awesome crew, Austin, Zach, and Michael getting here early and setting things up, my broadcast partner, Paige and Lawrence, I'm Garrett Jones saying goodbye, and thanks for watching from a beautiful, sunny University of Houston.